everyone for joining us today for this introduction to Bluebeam Revu. Just a little overview of what we're going to discuss today. First, we're going to give you a little intro into what Bluebeam is, what Revu is used for. Then we will discuss collaborating with project partners using Bluebeam Revu. Then I'll provide a demo of some of the features available to you in Revu, including the tool chest, saving tool sets, the markups list, as well as exporting summaries. Then we'll get into a little bit of the case studies, as well as discussing some of the resources, and then taking any questions that you might have. So if you're new to Bluebeam, since 2002, they've empowered 1.9 million unique users across 130 countries to advance the way our world is built. Bluebeam Revu is their flagship solution. It helps teams simplify complex processes and collaborate in real time to finish projects on schedule and under budget. Bluebeam takes a customer-centric approach to product development, working closely with industry partners to design simple, smart solutions that save them time and money. And as the industry has grown, so has Bluebeam. Bluebeam now has offices in San Diego, Chicago, Dallas, Manchester, London, Stockholm, Copenhagen, Munich, and Brisbane. So Revu is a project efficiency and collaboration solution built specially for design and build professionals, empowering them to do their best work. More than that, the goal is to address tangible business challenges, including maximizing productivity, reducing costs with improved project predictability, and minimizing organizational risk. As Bluebeam continues to develop and improve their solutions, they keep those business objectives in mind to ensure they deliver maximum value to customers. So let's take a look at some of the features that Revu has to offer. So we're excited to share that Revu 20, which is the newest version of Revu, is focused on making it easier for you to communicate and collaborate with your team. Bluebeam has made key improvements to the studio user and content management capabilities that will allow you to gain greater flexibility, control, and more effectively work with project partners, both internally and externally. Bluebeam Studio features improved user and content management capabilities so that you can get pretty granular with permissions as well as file access. Studio admins can invite and assign permissions to users before they even have a studio account, and can also easily send reminders and follow-ups to invitees who have yet to join a session or project. So you can copy-paste email addresses for easier invitations. I know that seems like a little thing, but it was actually one of the most requested features for Studio in the new version, so glad to see that that's been implemented. You can now see who has not yet joined the Studio session if you have not yet joined, and if you have not yet joined a project. So you can see who has or has not accepted your invitation, and all of this can now be done within the Bluebeam Studio interface. No need for email or browser interface in order to take a look at that. So additionally, Bluebeam has enhanced some of their markups and measurement tools to help you effectively communicate. They've also improved the Markups List to better manage your project data, and have continued to make rendering improvements that allow you to work faster in Revu. Okay. Now let's get to the fun part. I'm going to jump into Bluebeam Revu and show you guys some of the new features, starting with the tool chests. So one sec while I switch over to Bluebeam. Okay. Okay, so what you see here is the main interface of Bluebeam Revu. I already have a document open that you can see. This one is just one of our sample documents that we use for demonstrations. And you'll see that it's already been marked up a little bit. If you see on the left-hand side a set of icons, clicking any of these icons will open a flyout panel based on those icons. In this case, we're going to take a look at our tool chest. So when I click the flyout button, you get this other panel over here, broken down into your tool sets. So you can name your different tool sets based on discipline or category, however you want to organize your tools. And to use one of the tools, simply click and you start creating the markup based on that tool from the tool set. So if you are using a markup, let's say you are creating a text box, click and drag over here, and you want to change some of the parameters, you can do that up here. Let's make the color a little bit different, and we can change the shape as well. We can make it a circle, whatever we want to do. So if I want to add some text, maybe make that a little bit bigger so people can read it. Okay, and if I spelled it correctly, that would be nice. Okay, so I have this new markup that I've created, and if I want to reuse it, I could always copy paste it, but if I wanted to add it to a tool chest, you'll see over here on the left-hand side, under Recent Tools, it's already been saved. So I can also right-click, and I can also add properties to my tools. So clicking that will let you modify the properties of said tool, and from here, you can add it to any of your other tool chests that you already have created, right? So if you find yourself in a document using a markup several times or multiple times, it will show up here in your recent tools, and then you can go ahead and save it in any of the tool chests that you have already created. So there are different ways that you can apply the markups. If I click on this, you see that this is giving me the option to create the markup based on the formatting that I have already created in there. But if I just wanted to copy it, I can right-click and I can change it to drawing mode. And what that will do is that will just create a copy paste essentially of the actual markup. Whereas the other mode, properties mode, lets me edit the markup with the formatting, but I can change the shape and the orientation, whatever parameters of the markup that that you want to change. More about the tool chests, you can click the tool chest dropdown and change the tool chests that are displayed. If you are an engineer, you maybe don't necessarily need to see all of these different tool chests. So you can kind of tailor your display to what you need and what you use most frequently. If you wanted to share your tool sets with members of your team or people outside of your organization, anyone that you wanted to share your tool chests with, if you click on the Manage Toolsets button, you'll see the Manage Toolsets window will show up, and then you can export any of the tool chests that you want, as well as import. So vice versa, you can export and import. So this is a great way to make sure that your markups and tools are consistent across your organization. You won't have necessarily someone going rogue and making their own set of tools that only they use. You can share them and collaborate with them however you please. Okay, so next I'm going to go over the markups list. So all of these highlights and little boxes that are drawn here. These are all separate independent markups, and you can view them all in a list in the markups list. If your markups list is you don't see it, if it's not visible, it's probably just hidden. You just have to scroll your mouse down to the edge of the screen, and it'll turn into this little blue bar. And if you click, that will open up the markups list. So another one little pro tip that I have, if you are working off of two monitors, you can right click on the markups list icon on the left, and under attach, you can detach it. This will basically pop it out so that you can put this on, say, your second screen, perhaps. I find that to be a very easy way to get a good view of everything without cluttering up my other screen interface. But for the purposes of this demonstration, do not have that luxury, so I will be attaching it back to the bottom. So one of the new features in Revu 20 in the markup list is the ability to filter. So if I click on this filter list button, it opens up or it creates a little row above the headers that shows the filter options. So in this case, let's say I just want to see only the markups that are present on this page, page 1. So what I would do is I'd go ahead and I'd click on this filter button right here, and I will change the filter to finish floor plan. And that will filter all of the markups out and leave only the ones that are on this page. So now I have a little bit more of a view of what is visible over here. You can do multiple filters as well. In this case, let's say I wanted to filter by date as well. I can go ahead and do that. And so now I'm filtering by page and the date. You'll notice that all of the markups that are not in the covered by this filter have been hidden. So that's just another way that Bluebeam helps to kind of focus and keep things clear and uncluttered. Additionally, you can save your filters. If you set up a number of filters in your markups list, you can go ahead and save that over here. Filters, so that over here. And now I have this filter saved for later. So if I clear it, turn it off, I can just as easily, go back and reset my filter. And of course, go back to the first page. So that's a very useful way to keep your list organized and keep yourself focused on what you need to do. One other useful way to use filters is you can filter it by status. So each markup, you're able to set the status. In this case, accepted, rejected, canceled, completed, none. These are the default options. But let's say you wanted to filter out and see only the rejected ones. You can go ahead and use that filter there too. Just a useful little tool for keeping yourself organized. So turning off the filter, and so taking a look at these columns, some of these might be useful, some of them might not be useful, depending on what you are doing or the particular discipline that you're working in. You can customize the columns that are displayed clicking on the Markups List drop down over here and selecting the columns. And so over here, you'll see that you can select which of the columns that you would like to display in your markup list. You can add additional columns to display over here by checking them. or select all to select all of them. But what I really want to show you is over here in Manage Columns, and it will open up this window over here where you can see the different columns that are available. But I want to draw your attention over here to custom columns. Now, Bluebeam has the ability to add custom columns based on different parameters that you enter, and I'm just going to show you that right here. So let's add a custom column, and let's call this one, let's say material. So if you have different materials that you are working with in your markups or your projects, you can set that over here for a particular markup or field. Let's go ahead and make this a choice column. And what this will do is this will give you a similar drop-down choice like the status column does. So you'll click it and you'll be able to select from a number of different options. This screen is where you create those different options. So clicking on the add button, it will ask what the item is that I want to add. So since we're on materials, let's call this one, let's say, stone. Now, over here we have a subject field. And what that does is it lets you assign the particular choice to a specific subject field. So in this case, we could call this, sure, we'll call this 3/4 inch EMT conduit. I know that that's going to be interesting, made out of stone. I don't think you're going to see that in reality, but for the purposes of this demonstration, let's imagine that this conduit is going to be made from stone. Underneath, you have the option to assign a numeric value, like say the price of the material. So we can go ahead and set that to 139. So now we have this choice drop-down created. If I click OK, you'll see that my custom column is added and available over here in your display order. So clicking OK, you'll see that my column is added over here, over to the right, and double clicking. Now I have the option to select the material for my 3/4 EMT conduit. Doing the same in another, I do not have that option because I created that item to only be available under the 3/4 EMT conduit subject. So with this procedure, you can create different items based on the subject and still have maintain the same column, so you can have consistency in your display of your columns, but still have it filtered by the particular material or discipline, or however you wanted to organize that. So one other custom column that I wanted to demonstrate is the formula column. So the formula column lets you create a column based on modifying and working with other columns. So for example, we can call this one total cost. And what we can do here under expression, once you start typing, you will get a drop down of the different variables that you can set. So in this case, let's take materials multiplied by, let's say, the count. Which would then take the item in the materials column, in this case, let's say stone, multiplied by the count, and then it will give you the total. So clicking OK. Oops. and the total cost should show up right there. It's not showing up in this case because it doesn't have the count, but if I can modify that over here, I think this actually should be measurement.
Hey,
Yeah,
David.
there it is. Yes, got it.
Yeah, can I ask you a couple of questions that's relevant to what you're showing now?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Great, thanks. Sorry about that.
No,
First,
don't.
somebody was asking, is the document that you're showing, the file, is that a PDF?
Yes, it is a PDF. Bluebeam works with only or mostly PDFs, and that's how it saves its documents and works with its documents so that it can be universal across programs.
Okay, great. Thank you. Kenneth
Yeah,
asked that, asked and answered. Also, Andre was asking, what would be a good visual way to label comments such as done, equivalent to the old yellowing out on the status, like completed or something like that?
Good question. Good question. I believe in that case, you'll have to set a trigger that would basically be an action triggered on the change of the status in order for it to display like that. So I can go over that when we get to if we have time at the end. But that's how you would do that. And we can also connect offline if he has a more specific use case that we can get into, which of course applies to anybody that has any questions. If you have something in particular that is specific to your situation or your workflow, I'd be happy to discuss with you that any questions you might have offline as well.
Fantastic. And sorry about that, but one last thing that's relevant to what you're doing now. They want to find out, how do you customize the counting tool, like the red circle with the number under architect review, if they want to count multiple items in the same PDF and they need they need those in like different colors. Let's say one's for architects, one's for contractors, the others for engineers.
Okay, so I think I see what you're saying. And again, any of these questions, if I miss the mark or if I don't answer completely how you need it, feel free to shoot us an email and I'd be happy to jump in and ask. But yeah, one way to do that would be to customize the items in the tool chest. So you can see that over here at architect review, contract review, engineer review are essentially the same markups, just set in different colors. So let's say you are an architect, you maybe would not see, you could turn that off and you would only see the architect review markups, which would all be in red. Meanwhile, engineers and contractors would each have their own specific tool chest with their own colors. And then what you can do is in your markups list, you can filter by color. So if you are using color-based tools to differentiate between different disciplines or different departments, you can then turn on your filter and, whoops, wrong button. And then you can choose which color you want to filter it by, which would then show all of that. Plumbing in this case would be the turquoise. So that's one way to do that. If there are any other questions that are relevant to Markups List, feel free to ask, and I'd be happy to answer. And no worries about interrupting. It's
okay. Sorry about that, because I know we have a very engaged group today. Somebody wanted to find out, Stacy, how do you reattach the markup list, please?
Yes. So that's let me show you that. So if you find yourself with your markup list detached and floating in space somewhere, it's actually a really good question because I have struggled with that at one point too. All you have to do is find this markups button, right click, and then under attach, you can select bottom, and then that'll put it back over here. Yeah, it's because you would think once it's detached, like some other windows, you could maybe like, drag it to the bottom and it would reattach. It doesn't quite do that. You do have to right click on this guy, attach, and then put it back to the bottom, and then it shows up right over here. So,
And one
oh,
last thing from
sure.
Joseph. How can I add or find markup lists such as electrical to add to the tool chest?
Okay. So if you don't see these ones and they're not in your drop down, you can download them from Bluebeam's website. They have a whole set of different tools for different disciplines that are already pre-made. I can add a link to the webinar info in a little bit. It also might be dependent on your profile, and so not to get too deep into another another topic, but if you change your profile to Review Advanced, you might be able to see some more of those options that are pre-built in Bluebeam. Because in tool chests, if you go to manage tool chest, you'll notice that show in all profiles is only selected yes for certain tool chests. And using these options, you can tailor your profiles to show the tools that are specific to your discipline. I didn't want to get too deep into into that, but if you have any questions in particular on that, again, I'd be happy to answer that on a separate call.
Sounds great. Thanks, David. And I also just added the link to everybody else about the markup list too. So
Oh, great.
that's it for now. I just want to make sure we have enough time for your presentation.
I know. I know. I will say that I do find that these intro demos to be the most difficult, only because trying to keep myself focused and on track to make time. So the last thing I wanted to show you guys about the markup list is how to create a summary. And so clicking this little what looks like the share button, like you'd find on an iPhone or something like that. If you click that, you'll have the option for different summaries for your markup list. If you select PDF summary, which is the most common one, but you can also do CSV or XML, you'll get this set of options. And from here, you can filter by column, selecting which columns you want to show in your summary. You can filter and sort. We're just going to leave everything at default for now. But we are going to check append and hyperlink to current PDF. So what that will do is it will create the PDF summary and attach it at the end of this this document. And we're going to keep everything else default. Hit OK. And this is just going to take a sec to go through. Maybe we should have filtered some of those things, but this should take too long. Now would be a good time for any other questions if they're coming up while this processes.
Sure. Justin was just asking what's the best practices for doing takeoffs, such as counting devices on drawings or finding quantities of whatever, receptacles or VAV boxes.
Yeah, okay, that's a great question. So for that, you would use a count tool. And what you will be able to do is create the count markups as you go through the document. Bluebeam also has a visual search capability where you can highlight a icon or drawing or portion of a drawing, and it will look for that specific shape within the whole document. And so with that, you can be used to search for plumbing fixtures or conduits or particular labels, and it will be able to find those for you as well. So here we go. Is the report finishing up, and here we go. Come on.
And while we're waiting too, somebody was asking where to get the studio training. or training for Bluebeam, because some of them are trying to do a deeper dive. Just to let you know, you can email us at bluebeam@microsolresources.com, and John can address this for you.
Yeah, and I'd be happy to answer any questions as well. We do offer, like we said, the live training by me, or we have the online self-paced training as well. So here we see the summary. I definitely should have maybe chosen a smaller PDF to do the summary on, but what's done is done. What's nice is that you can see an example or a kind of zoom in of the particular markup right next to it, but you can also click on it and it'll take you right there. Clicking the back button on your mouse will take you back to the summary page, and you can continue as desired. So this is just a really useful way to kind of get an overview of all the different markups. And like I showed you before, you can filter by discipline or by whatever columns you want, so that maybe you only send a certain portion of markups to a certain, whatever discipline it's relevant for. So just to show the visual search that was asked about quickly before I move on. So let's take a look at this document, and over here on the right-hand side, you'll see this magnifying glass, which will open up the search window. So Bluebeam has text search just like every other PDF software available, but it also has image search. And what I can do over here is I can click on this Get Rectangle button, and let's grab this toilet, and then you can see the window that we just grabbed up here. And now what I can do is I can go ahead and I can do a search. Now I'm only going to do this current page so that it doesn't search all 40-something pages. So this should be a little faster than before. And you can see on the bottom the percentage. See, there we go, much faster. So now under results, I can see all of the different icons that match what I selected up top. And clicking them will take you right there. Additionally, what you can do up here in the top of the results, I can select all. So basically selecting all of these. And then the really cool part, if I click this lightning bolt button, what I can do is I can do an apply count measurement to checked. So I'm going to do that. Let's say if you had let's say your plumbing tool chest set up for let's say plumbing and then toilet fixtures or whatever, you can you would see that here. But let's just select contractor for now, and that adds a count markup to all of the toilets that were found matching that image that we captured. And then down here, you'll find that on the markups list as well, somewhere. Filter by page, but they are somewhere, yeah, down there. So that's a very useful way to search within your documents. You can also do that for labels, panels, symbols, any content in the PDF document. You can search for it.